Today we're going to be learning about the reading strategy, prediction. Prediction is when readers guess what a story is about, as well as things that might happen in the story.
The things that help us to make predictions are background knowledge about the author. Have I read anything by the author before? Do I know the author? The title. Does it give me any clues about the story? The visuals. Do the pictures or illustrations tell me anything about the story? And the blurb. On the back of the book, like a teaser, the blurb will give me clues about the story.
So why do we make predictions? Well, it helps us to understand what we're reading. It activates our prior knowledge. It helps us to feel a connection to the story. Helps us to remember what we've read. And it helps us to express our thoughts and opinions about the text.
Here are some helpful words we can use when making predictions. I predict, I picture, I think, I guess, I imagine, I speculate, I wonder, I anticipate, I foresee, I expect, I envisage. Let's practice making predictions with a book called A Long Walk to Water. What I notice first about the front cover is the title. Because it's so big, it really stands out. The title tells me the book might be about a long walk or a journey. The title text reminds me of white chalk on a blackboard. So I wonder if school or education has anything to do with the story. Below the title is some text that tells me it's based on a true story. That really interests me because I like reading true stories about people. The next thing I notice about the cover is the silhouette of a person walking, carrying something on their head. Maybe it's a container to carry water, like the title suggests. Also, the colours suggest to me it might be quite hot. So my next prediction is that the story is set somewhere in the world where it gets really hot, maybe the desert. Drawing from my prior knowledge, the way the person is carrying the container on their head reminds me of pictures I've seen of people in different parts of Africa. So my next prediction is that the story is set in an African country. I can see that the author's name is Linda Sue Park, but I don't know this author. Under her name is some text that tells me she won a special medal for a previous book. This tells me that the author must be a very talented writer, so I can be confident it will be very well written. So far, I have predicted the stories about a person who has to take a long journey or a walk to get water set in an African country. I've made my predictions looking at the front cover, so now I can look at the back for further clues. On the back is a blurb that talks about a person called Naya. It says she walks 8 hours to fetch water every day. So is this book about Naya and her journey? The next paragraph tells me about another person, Salva. It says, Salva walks away from his war-torn village. Oh, maybe the story is about a war. And my prediction that it was about one person was not correct. It's actually about two people, Naya and Salva. The next line down tells me it's set in Sudan. So I was right about the story being set in Africa. I now know that the book will be about the stories of two different people, and it also says that these people live in two different times, 2008 and 1985. I've never read a book where two stories are told at once, so I'm very excited to begin reading A Long Walk to Water. Revisit your first predictions to confirm or adapt them. How do we adapt our first predictions? After carefully looking at the front cover, this was one of my first predictions. I anticipate that the person in the story will struggle on their journey through a hot desert. But after reading about Salva and Naya in the blurb on the back of the book, I confirmed that yes, it will be about a hard journey, but I decided to adapt my prediction to, I predict this story is about a person called Salva and a person called Naya, who both face challenging but separate journeys on their long walk to water. So I would say my original prediction was partially true because, yes, there will be a hard journey ahead, but after reading the blurb, I know that the story involves not one but two people, and that one of them, Salva, is escaping a war.